It was a hot Saturday afternoon. Jamal sat inside the small bus, looking out the window. He was nervous and excited. For 6 months, he had been talking to a woman online. Her name was Tina. She said she was 35 years old, beautiful, smart, and funny. They talked every day, and she even sent him pictures. She told him she lived alone in a nice house in a quiet town 2 hours away. Jamal was 29, tall and strong, working as a car mechanic. He didn't have many friends. When Tina started talking to him, it felt like a dream. She told him she was looking for real love. She said age didn't matter to her, but she promised she was young and full of energy. Jamal believed her. Now, he was finally on the way to meet her in person. The bus ride felt long. Jamal kept checking his phone. Tina had told him to get off at the main bus stop and walk 5 minutes to her street. She gave him her house address and told him she would be waiting outside. At 4:30 p.m., the bus arrived. Jamal got down and looked around. The street was quiet, with only a few people walking by. He started walking, looking at the house numbers. Finally, he stopped at a small yellow house with flower pots in front. A woman was standing at the gate. She was dressed nicely and smiling. But Jamal's heart dropped. The woman was clearly not 35. She looked much older. Her skin was wrinkled. Her hair was dyed, and her voice was deep. "Jamal," she said. He forced a smile. "Tina." "Yes, baby. Come in." He walked inside slowly. His mind was spinning. How could this be the same woman from the photos? He felt confused and angry. Maybe it was a mistake. Maybe she used someone else's pictures. Maybe there was a reason. Inside, the house was clean but old. The walls had pictures of her as a young woman. He looked closely. Some of the pictures were clearly from the 1980s. Tina went to the kitchen and brought him a glass of juice. "You look shocked," she said. You told me you were 35, Jamal said carefully. "I said I feel 35. Age is just a number." "But you're what?" "50. I'm 55, she said. "But I love you, Jamal. We connect. That's what matters." Jamal stood up. "You lied to me." "I didn't lie. I protected myself. Most men don't want older women. But I felt something special with you. Please, don't leave." Jamal felt hot with anger and confusion. He looked at his phone. There were pictures she had sent. None of them looked like her. She had fooled him. "I need some air," he said and walked outside. Tina followed him. "Wait, let's talk." But Jamal kept walking down the road. He felt betrayed. He wanted to leave, but he had no ride until the next bus. He sat on a bench under a tree, breathing hard. He started to think. Who was this woman really? Why would she lie? And what else had she hidden? He didn't know it yet, but this visit would end in blood. Jamal sat on the bench, staring at nothing. His hands were shaking. He had trusted Tina. He thought they were building something real. Now he felt like a fool. The pictures she sent were fake. The voice calls were full of lies. She didn't sound this old over the phone. He looked back toward the house. Tina stood at the gate, watching him. She looked sad, but he didn't care. He couldn't believe he traveled 2 hours just to be lied to. He pulled out his phone and scrolled through their old chats. "You're the man of my dreams," she had written many times. He believed every word. Now he knew she had just played with him. He wanted to delete the chats, but something stopped him. After a while, Tina slowly walked over. She sat on the other end of the bench. "Jamal, please let me explain." "There's nothing to explain," he said. "There is. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just didn't know how to be honest without losing you." Jamal said nothing. "I was lonely," Tina continued. "I lost my husband 6 years ago. My children don't talk to me anymore. I started using dating apps to feel alive again. When I met you, I felt something. I know it sounds crazy, but you made me smile. You sent fake pictures. I used my niece's photos. I know it was wrong." Jamal looked at her in disbelief. "So you've been pretending to be your niece?" Tina nodded slowly. "Yes, but everything else I said was true. I cooked meals while thinking of you. I cleaned this house waiting for you. I even bought new clothes for today." "I'm not who you think I am," Jamal said. "You were in love with an idea. But I know the real you. You're kind. You're patient. You listened to me when no one else would." Jamal stood up again. "I listened to a liar. I traveled for 2 hours to meet someone who doesn't exist." Tina stood too. "Don't go yet. Please. Stay for dinner. Just talk to me. You can leave tomorrow. I'll pay for your ride." Jamal looked at her. She seemed desperate. Her hands trembled. Her eyes were full of tears. He didn't know what to do. He had nowhere else to go. The next bus would come late in the evening. Maybe it was better to stay for a few hours, calm down, and leave in the morning. Fine, he said, but only for tonight. Tina smiled faintly. Thank you. They walked back to the house. Jamal's head was still spinning. He felt trapped between anger and pity. He didn't trust her, but he didn't want to sleep outside either. Inside, Tina went to the kitchen and started cooking rice and stew. She played soft music and lit some candles. Jamal sat quietly in the living room, watching her. The whole scene felt strange. Then, something caught his eye. He saw a photo on the wall. It looked like the same young woman from the fake pictures, his Tina. But next to her in the photo was the same older woman now cooking dinner. Jamal stood up and walked closer to the picture. That was no niece. It was Tina herself, maybe 30 years ago. The truth hit him like cold water. She hadn't only lied. She had once been beautiful, young, and full of dreams. But now, something about her eyes scared him. Something about this house felt dangerous. And the night had only just begun. Dinner was quiet. Too quiet. Tina placed the plate in front of Jamal and sat across from him. The candles flickered. Soft jazz music played in the background. Jamal stared at the food, his mind heavy with thoughts. He had lost his appetite, but he didn't want to upset her. Eat, Tina said gently. I made your favorite. You told me you loved spicy food. He nodded and picked up the spoon slowly. He took a bite, but the food tasted like paper. His mouth was dry. He didn't trust anything anymore, not even the rice. Tina watched him carefully. Her eyes never left his face. Do you like it? She asked. It's okay, he muttered. Tina smiled, but it didn't feel warm. It felt forced. She picked up her plate and began to eat in small bites. The room stayed silent, except for the ticking of the old wall clock. Every tick made Jamal feel more trapped. He wanted to ask where her phone was. He wanted to leave, but part of him was scared to say anything. Something about her energy had changed since he agreed to stay. Tina, he said finally, do you have Wi-Fi? I need to check something. She looked up and smiled again. The network is down tonight. It happens sometimes here. Jamal nodded slowly. He knew she was lying. Can I use your phone to call a taxi? I already told you, she said. No cars come this way at night. This area is quiet. You can try in the morning. Jamal looked at her again. Her face was calm, but her eyes were sharp. Cold. Calculated. He stood up and walked around the room, pretending to admire the photos. He was really looking for an escape. Back doors, windows, anything. But the windows were locked from inside, and the curtains were thick. I'm tired, he said. Can I sleep now? Of course, Tina replied. I set up the guest room for you. She led him down the hallway. The walls were painted dark green, with a single light bulb at the end. The house was silent, too silent. He could hear only the sound of their footsteps on the wooden floor. She opened the door to a small room. A bed, a wooden chair, and a small table. No window. Just one tiny fan spinning slowly on the ceiling. I hope you're comfortable, she said. I'll be fine, he replied. She smiled again. Good night, Jamal. Sleep well. She closed the door behind her. Click. Jamal's heart dropped. She had locked it from outside. He rushed to the door and tried the handle. It didn't budge. He knocked lightly. Tina, he called. No answer. He knocked again. Still nothing. Jamal took a deep breath and looked around the room. There was no phone, no light switch, only the ceiling fan and a dim lamp. He felt like he was in a cage. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Then he heard footsteps outside. Slow, heavy. They stopped at his door. Something slid under the door. A piece of paper. Jamal picked it up with shaky hands. It had one sentence written in red ink. If I can't have you, no one will. Jamal's blood ran cold. He wasn't just trapped. He was in danger. Jamal's hands trembled as he held the paper. If I can't have you, no one will. The red ink looked fresh. The handwriting was neat, careful, almost beautiful. But the message was full of danger. He sat on the edge of the bed, heart pounding, trying to think clearly. Why had he come here? Why hadn't he left the moment he saw her? Now the door was locked. His phone had no signal. There was no way out. He stood up and examined the room again. The fan turned slowly, making a soft clicking sound. He walked to the walls and tapped them. Solid. No hidden space. The floor creaked under his weight, but nothing loose. Then he saw it. A small vent near the ceiling, close to the corner of the room. He dragged the wooden chair under it and climbed up. The vent was covered with a metal grill. He grabbed the edge and pulled. It didn't move. He tried again, using all his strength. Still nothing. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the hallway again. Jamal froze. The footsteps stopped at his door. Then a soft voice, "Jamal?" It was Tina. "I brought you water," she said. He didn't answer. "Are you okay?" she asked again. Still silence. "Jamal, talk to me. I know this is hard, but I love you. I really do. I would never hurt you." Jamal finally spoke. "Let me out." There was a pause. "You'll leave me," she said. "Just like everyone else." "I promise I won't," he lied. "Just open the door. Please." "I don't believe you." More silence. Then she spoke softly, but with a strange tone. "I gave you everything. My time, my heart, my soul. And now you want to walk away?" Jamal didn't know what to say. His heart thumped louder with each second. Then came a sound that chilled him. The sound of a key turning. The door unlocked. Slowly, the door opened. Tina stood there, holding a glass of water in one hand. In the other, she held a knife. Not a kitchen knife. A sharp, silver hunting knife. "Drink this," she said, raising the glass. He backed away. "Put the knife down." "It's just for protection," she said sweetly. "I don't want you to run." Jamal's eyes darted around the room. The chair was too far now. The lamp too weak to be used as a weapon. "You're scaring me," he said. Tina stepped closer. "I'm scaring you? After everything? After all the love I gave?" Jamal moved to the corner. "We can talk about this in the morning. Let's both rest." She shook her head. "No. You'll try to escape." Suddenly, Jamal lunged. He grabbed the water glass and threw it at her face. She screamed as the cold water hit her eyes. The knife dropped from her hand and hit the floor. He ran past her, down the hallway. But the front door chained shut. He turned left. The kitchen. He looked for a phone. Nothing. Then, he grabbed a metal pot. He turned around. Tina stood there again, dripping wet, her eyes wild. She picked up a broom handle and raised it. They stared at each other. Two strangers. One truth. This night would not end peacefully. Jamal held the pot tightly in his hands. His heart was beating fast. Tina stood a few feet away, holding a long wooden broom handle like a weapon. Her eyes were wide, her breathing heavy. "Stay back," Jamal said firmly. Tina laughed, a strange, broken laugh. "You're afraid of me? After all we've shared. You locked me in a room. You came at me with a knife. I didn't want to hurt you," she shouted. "But you forced me. You lied too. You made me believe we had something real." "I never lied," Jamal said. "You're the one who tricked me. You showed me someone else's face. You made me travel here for a lie." Tina's hands tightened around the broom handle. She looked like she was about to cry or attack. "Put it down," Jamal said again. "Let me go, and no one gets hurt." She moved closer instead. "I can't let you go," she whispered. "I know you'll leave and block me. I'll be alone again. I won't survive it." "You will," he replied. "You just need help. You're not thinking straight." But she wasn't listening. Her mind was somewhere else, somewhere dark. Suddenly, she raised the broomstick and charged at him. Jamal reacted fast. He blocked the stick with the pot, and it made a loud clang. He swung the pot toward her arm. It hit hard. She screamed and dropped the broom. Jamal pushed her away and ran for the front door again. He tried pulling the chain, but it was locked tightly. No time. He had to get out another way. He ran into the hallway, back toward the guest room. But Tina wasn't done. She came after him, breathing hard. Holding something else now, an old pair of scissors. "You're mine," she shouted. "You don't get to walk away." Jamal slammed the door shut behind him, locking it quickly. He was trapped again. He grabbed the chair and climbed up. This time, he hit the metal vent hard with the chair leg. Over and over. Bang, bang, bang. The grill broke loose and fell to the floor. He climbed higher and pulled himself up. The vent was tight, but just enough for him to crawl through. He pushed forward, sweating, scraping his arms on the sides. Behind him, he heard Tina banging on the door. "I'll kill myself if you leave," she screamed. "I swear to God." Jamal paused for a second, then shook his head. "I can't help her," he whispered to himself. He kept crawling. The vent led him to another room. A storage space. There was a small window high on the wall. He pushed a stool under it, climbed up, and forced it open. Fresh air. Freedom. He jumped down into the backyard. The sky was dark, but the stars were out. He ran, barefoot, tired, scared, but he didn't stop. Past the garden, through the side path, over the gate, into the street. He ran until he saw a man walking a dog. "Help!" Jamal yelled. "Call the police. She tried to kill me." The man froze, then pulled out his phone. Finally, Jamal collapsed to the ground. But this wasn't over yet. Inside that yellow house, Tina was making one final decision, one that would shock everyone. Blue and red lights flashed in front of Tina's yellow house. The sound of police sirens echoed through the quiet street. Neighbors peeked out of their windows. Some came outside, whispering and pointing. Something big was happening, but no one knew what yet. Two police cars stopped. Jamal sat on the sidewalk, wrapped in a blanket. An ambulance team checked his arms and feet. He had scratches, bruises, and small cuts, but he was alive. A police officer knelt beside him. "Sir, can you tell us what happened?" Jamal nodded weakly. "Her name is Tina. She lured me here, lied about her age, locked me in a room, tried to hurt me. She chased me with a knife. Scissors too. I barely escaped." "Did she stab you?" "No. But she said if she couldn't have me, no one could. She said she'd kill herself if I left." The officer stood and gave a signal to the others. "Let's move," he said. Four officers moved toward the house with flashlights and guns drawn. They knocked loudly. "Police, open the door." No sound. "Miss Tina, we need you to come out now." Still nothing. One officer tried the door. It was unlocked. They stepped inside carefully. The house was quiet, almost too quiet. The hallway lights were off. The kitchen smelled like burned oil. A pot sat overturned on the floor. A chair lay broken near the guest room door. The lead officer raised his voice. "Miss Tina, this is your last warning." No response. They moved room by room. Then they reached the master bedroom. The door was open, and Tina was sitting on the floor in front of a large mirror. Her face was calm. Her makeup was smeared. She wore a long red nightgown. In her hands, she held a photo frame. It was a picture of her younger self. Tears ran down her face, but she didn't blink. She stared at her reflection. On the floor beside her, the scissors. "Put the scissors down," the officer said. Tina didn't move. "I gave everything," she whispered, "and still ended up alone." "We're not here to hurt you," the officer said. "We want to help, but you need to stand up and come with us." Tina slowly turned to look at them. Her eyes were tired. "Do you know what it's like to watch yourself fade?" she asked. "To love someone who only saw your age. We understand you're upset, but this isn't the way," the officer said gently. "I'm tired," she whispered. "I just wanted someone to choose me." Then, before they could stop her, she raised the scissors and stabbed herself in the stomach. "No," the officer shouted as they rushed forward. They wrestled the scissors from her and called for the paramedics. Blood soaked her nightgown. Her lips moved as she faded in and out of consciousness. "I didn't mean to scare him." The paramedics carried her to the ambulance. As they drove off, one officer turned to the others. "Poor woman," he said. "She didn't want to kill him. She just didn't know how to let go." Jamal watched the ambulance disappear. He felt numb. He had escaped with his life, but something inside him had changed. Forever. 3 weeks later, Jamal sat in a small cafe near his house. The sun was shining, but it didn't feel warm. He stared out the window, holding a cup of tea he had not touched. The world around him moved on, but inside, he was still stuck in that night. He had not told many people what happened. Only his boss and one close friend knew. Everyone else just thought he was quiet lately. He didn't care to explain. How do you explain something like that? How do you say, "I was nearly killed by a woman who loved me too much and didn't know how to stop lying"? Tina had survived the stabbing. The doctor said she was lucky. The scissors had missed her organs, but she had lost a lot of blood. She was still in the hospital, under police watch. She was expected to face charges once she recovered: kidnapping, attempted assault, and possibly more. Jamal didn't know if he would testify. He didn't want revenge. He didn't even feel anger anymore. What he felt was something harder to explain: sadness. Yes, she lied. Yes, she trapped him. Yes, she could have killed him. But she was also a woman who had lost too much: her husband, her children, her youth, and maybe even her mind. She had fallen in love with an idea. So, had he. He thought he had met someone exciting, beautiful, real. She thought she had met someone who would stay. Both were wrong. A voice interrupted his thoughts. Jamal. He looked up. It was the policewoman who had first taken his statement, Officer Green. "May I sit?" she asked. He nodded. She placed a folder on the table. "I just came from the hospital." His eyes widened. "Tina." "She asked for you." He shook his head slowly. "I don't think I can see her." "She wrote you something," the officer said, opening the folder. She pulled out a short letter, written in careful handwriting. Jamal hesitated, then took it and read, "Dear Jamal, I'm sorry. I was not fair to you. I built a dream and dragged you into it without asking. You reminded me what it felt like to be wanted, even if it wasn't real. I hope someday you'll forgive me, not because I deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Tina." Jamal stared at the paper for a long time. "She said she doesn't want to see you," Officer Green said gently. "Just wanted you to have that." He nodded. She stood up to leave, but paused. "You did the right thing, Jamal. You survived." He gave a small, tired smile. Barely. When she left, he folded the letter and put it in his wallet. That night, when he returned home, he opened the window. He let the breeze in. He sat on the floor in silence. Then, for the first time in weeks, he cried. Not because of fear, not even because of pain, but because he had come face to face with a kind of love that was broken, dangerous, and deeply human. The kind of love that doesn't know where to stop. The kind of love that could kill, and almost did.